Well, that's the whole thing with podcasting, though. There's very few situations where you can get someone dialed in. They have to be ready to talk and take on conversations and typically not have their phone with them. That's powerful right there.
Went all in, play my cards right. Up the ante, won blackjack all night. Roll the dice, let it ride.
We need to get this on Facebook Live.
Yeah.
So that's the way to do. We create the page.
No one watches Facebook Live anymore, do they?
I don't know. We do LinkedIn Live. You got creator mode on? Gives you LinkedIn
I do have
Live.
creator mode.
Me too.
Should we do that? Does it work?
It does work.
So you can't, I think it's hard for people to connect with you now on LinkedIn Live because they follow you. So they get confused as to what do I do? I want to follow him.
Yeah, well, they just follow you.
Yeah. But you can still connect with them.
Yeah, but if somebody wants to initiate a connection request, they have to be savvy enough on LinkedIn to know how to
Click
go
the three
through
buttons and go pull down, hit
More,
connect. Yeah.
connect.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah, and you know what? The only fools that would try to connect with me are motherfuckers that want to sell me some bullshit I didn't even ask for.
Yeah.
You know?
That's true. I get a lot of invites for LinkedIn pages.
Oh yeah, to like the pages. That's another feature.
But it's like, why?
Yeah.
I never heard of the person or the company.
Right.
And next thing you know, they want me to like their page. And what are we going to do once we do that?
We just need to create fake business pages. I'm like,
yeah. Oh, you can.
Yeah, I know.
You can do that.
Fart buckets and gloves. Send that to our friends.
No, you don't send it to
Jerry
your
doesn't invite
friends.
you like fart
no, you
buckets.
send it to strangers like they're sending it to you.
Yeah. I got you.
So let's waste everybody's time.
Yeah, man. LinkedIn has turned into a cesspool.
Well, you know what's really dumb?
What?
Is somehow the four. So we have like multiple channels on our podcast. And the four's lit up, but there's no mic in the fours. This is like,
Is that
it's like a
four
ghost.
sitting up top there?
No, it's not. Four is over here. But I don't think it matters, right? If it's on.
It does
could.
if the channels are not, because if this thing here is not, you need some
All right,
headphones.
we're going to pause.
Where's your dumbass headphones to plug in there and
No,
just
it's-
listen for a second, make
we're
sure
good.
we're actually getting some recording.
We're good. I'm going to pause and we'll come back after these messages.
CASDM is our content production company. Why content? It's simple. Content brings people together. I've seen it play out over and over, and I want to help others explore and discover this for themselves. The experience is totally worth it. Learn more at CASDM.com. We focus on podcasts and writing, one piece of content at a time.
So we're back.
We're,
That was our Zoom recorder, and it had one of the channels was
who
lit
the
up.
fuck are you talking to?
I don't know.
Just kind
Whoever's
of like, wait, we're
listening.
going to keep that in the...
There's somebody listening. We've looked at it. We've got some follow. I don't know if we have followers. We have people listening. They
That
might
is
listen
true.
and then they tap out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, that was a great headline. And then I clicked on the article and it was dog shit.
There's a lot of that.
I know. I create a lot of that.
Really?
You do too, though, right? Isn't that what
Like
CASDM
the
does?
bounce rate.
Yeah.
Yeah. You get like people coming in. You have all these people clicking on your site and
Oh,
they're
it's
there
terrible.
for 2 seconds.
They get
No.
there and they're like, this is complete
Well, once in
garbage.
a while, you'll see like, oh my God, we had 1,000 hits last night. No, it was from Pakistan and they were trying to hack into your computer. And it doesn't have to be Pakistan. It could be any
it's a
country.
bit racist.
No, it was just any country. But we had Pakistan was a country. So it was like a fact.
Yeah.
So it's not. It's like,
Pakistan is a country. That is true.
right. But it was the country that was hitting a site. I don't know if it was one of our sites. It's someone else's site. And they were trying to hack in.
Yeah.
I don't know what they would do if they got in. I guess you can pull some credit
I
card.
tell you what they'd do.
Okay.
They would start crying because they'd be so disappointed. That
Wow, we
it's
got
like, it's
in
like
and
breaking
nothing
into a
happened?
bank
And no
and
money.
nothing's in there.
Nothing. No people.
Nope. No, yeah. No, I'm talking about like late at night. Nobody's there. Banking hours, right?
Okay.
Way past banking hours. Somebody breaks into the bank.
Yeah.
They get in there, spend all this time just, they crack the safe.
What?
They get in there finally like, oh, I did it. I cracked the safe. You kind of have like this mental picture of some guy who's cracking the safe and then remembering as a child how his dad taught him how to crack these high-tech safes and then how his dad's dad taught him and all this kind of stuff. Gets into the safe, empty. That's what it would feel like for the young Pakistani man or woman. I'm not trying to say that it would be a man
Right.
getting into your website. They would get in there and be like, wow, everything looks great. The shelves are clean. Everything looks pretty. It's well maintained, but there's nothing of value here.
Wow. Just went for it. Yeah.
Nah, man,
That's
I love your
good.
site. I'm just
It's
messing.
amazing.
I just kind of went off the rant there because it's been so long since we've talked to each
It
other.
has been a while.
and
Why?
I just missed you.
COVID happened.
Who cares?
Okay.
I don't
We're
care.
just moving past that.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Well, we can talk about it. You want to? We had a plan.
We can touch on it. How about that?
Let's do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
You did not have COVID.
No, I didn't. I did
Your
not.
kid and your wife, one of your kids.
Yeah. So we originally had COVID during the Delta variant. Here's the little history, and had great natural immunity to all that. But the one thing that had come out with this whole Omicron variant B or whatever is that Delta immunity didn't seem to hold up too well against this variant, which is fine because it was a pretty weak ass variant. I mean, I've had colds. My kids and my wife have all had colds way worse than that. But then, yeah, my son caught it. And the only reason we found out about it is because his parents told us, and they're like, oh, okay, well, and my dad was going to be having surgery the following week. So, in that case, it was, okay, let's go ahead and test him. And sure enough, so he and my wife had it, but me and my youngest one didn't catch it because we're just better people. Bottom line. Yeah. My wife and my oldest.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're subpar compared to me and my youngest.
That's awesome.
It is.
Yeah. Well, the cool thing about just talking about COVID on a podcast is when you go to Spotify now, it's going to be a COVID disclosure.
Oh, I know. It's great. I love it.
Learn more about COVID.
Yeah. And I'm like, really? From who?
That.
Yeah. Where's this information coming from? It's like, to stop disinformation. I'm like, yes, but if you're talking about the CDC, the United States, they've been preventing some disinformation. It's just it's a fact. It's a fact, man.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I got into it with my sister-in-law about this. Of course, we had several drinks, so it was kind of incoherent, but it's okay. But it was fun.
You had to get it out. You just needed a place to
yeah. I mean, I didn't really have to.
That wasn't worth it. Yeah. Why'd you have to get mad?
Yeah. Well, I didn't start it. No, she started it.
How
People
do you
start
know?
things, I finish them.
Okay.
Yeah.
You do. You've summarized things. You're good at that.
Well, yeah. That is true. But I also, full disclosure, my love language is confrontation. That is a fact. Because it's not like I'm trying to win.
Sixth love language?
I'm not sure.
It's not one of the 5. I know that.
I've never actually read the book.
Okay. So that's a headline. That's like clicking on that headline. You open the book up. You're like, I'm not reading this.
Yeah. It's like, this book, the title promises so much.
It's a good book. You should read it.
All right.
I'm going to think about what.
We should read it together. You want to have a book club?
I think your words of affirmation. Like, do you like when people tell you?
True.
Like,
that is true.
That you're amazing, or that's really good, Jared, or keep up that good work.
Okay, now I do remember these, yes.
Or do you like when I pat you on the shoulder?
That's it. Physical touch.
Physical touch. So those are your 2.
Yeah, those are my 2. And confrontation. That's good confrontation, like healthy confrontation. It creates a sense of respect.
Well, that's what we're doing here, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. We argue sometimes.
No, but it's good. I look at it as I trust you if you'll fight me. Now, I don't mean that like in a stupid, like punch each other in the face.
Yeah.
You remember Fight Club?
Yeah.
The line in there says, you don't truly know a man until you fight him. Well, there's a lot of truth in that. I think there's something deep at that level is that you have to wrestle through things. Because I have such a dominant personality. I'm very aware of that, though. So I'm always hyper conscious when I'm interacting with people. I want to make sure, hey, look, my personality can be large sometimes. Do not be afraid of that. Tell me to shut up or tell me you disagree. I want you to. I want people to push back. I don't want them just to comply.
It's easier if you know someone. I can say that to you, like, today's not the day, Jared.
Right.
And you're like, cool, man. Yeah. Come back, But other times, like, I've seen people in here and being like, what do I do with this guy?
For sure. And that's entertaining for you and for me. But at the end of the day,
uncomfortable for other people. And that's just not a good word.
Well, that's never my goal. But I'm also aware that, I can be misunderstood. You familiar with the Enneagram?
With the what?
Enneagram?
No, I'm not.
Well, I won't try to explain all of it because I have a low attention span. Okay. I just don't care.
I've already tapped out.
Yeah, for sure. So moving on. Yeah, but for anybody listening, so for all 3 of you listening.
It's more than that. Seriously, you should be proud of it.
Yeah.
There's way more than that. So go ahead.
Yeah, like 6 or 7. That's like double. We're getting to double digits. I like that. Yeah, so anyway, the Enneagram, it's a pretty comprehensive personality assessment. It's one of the oldest, apparently. Goes all the way back to the Desert Fathers. I have no idea if it does or not. All that said is it's one of the few of these tests that I actually think is pretty good. So I'm an 8, which is like a bull in a china shop.
Okay.
Constantly misunderstood. If you're a healthy 8, you're not trying to dominate people.
Yeah.
You just very action. You know how I am, just very action oriented. It's like, hey, let's get this done. It's like, we can make this thing happen and we can do this. Let's go. Let's not sit here and overthink it.
Okay.
But if you're not aware of those kinds of things, you can run over people really easy.
Does it help if the other person is, say, like a 3, is more passive? Because if you had 2 8s in the house.
3s are actually performance oriented.
Okay. But like a couple, a relationship, would it be good if one's...
Yeah. Apparently, there's all kinds of stuff like that.
You don't want 2 bulls in the china shop. One's tough.
Yeah. You want complimentary affection. My wife is very much the opposite of me.
Okay.
She sits there and thinks things through for a long time.
It's nice to have that, right?
And I'm sitting there like, come on, hurry up. And she's thinking, you need to take your time and think about this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I've even lost interest in this topic.
Yeah.
No, because you see just like the excitement.
Well, it all started with confrontation.
Being my love language. That's right.
I wonder how many love languages there actually are. It's not just 5. I didn't know
we
there
could
was
probably create
one.
A few.
You just did.
Maybe I did.
Yeah. Confrontation.
Yeah. Well, the way I describe myself and been described by the people, my communication style is compassionately aggressive. I never want people to feel bad. I want them to be
It's not
empowered.
passive. It's aggressive.
Definitely not passive.
It's the opposite.
My pet peeve is passive aggressiveness.
Yeah.
By far. Those
Okay.
people make me sick.
Yeah.
And I have no shame in that. And it's not even like the person. Let me separate the person from the action.
Okay.
Because the person I have compassion for aggressively.
I've had some passive aggressiveness with you.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I know.
I've had to work on that.
It's a good thing that you were
There's
out
guilt,
of my reach.
right? There's a lot of guilt, I think, in that.
I would have
You don't upset
hugged
anybody.
you into submission.
Yeah.
Gone face to face like, you need to be aggressive with me.
Yeah.
That's what I would have done.
Yeah.
There was guilt.
No, there can be guilt. I think with passive aggressiveness, there can be, you don't want to make someone feel bad. You want to play. And that's
Yeah.
hard, right? That's a lot to carry with someone. Guilt is a hard thing. It's super
Yeah.
basic. Like, hey, do you want to go out for lunch? I don't know. It's like, because I don't want to upset your feelings.
Right.
You can't go, but sometimes it's easier to say no. But if you carry that and you don't like get it out there, now all of a sudden you're carrying that
I know.
guilt with you.
Well, I wouldn't say that's really being passive aggressive. I just think that's more being
Maybe they're different.
kind of meek, shy. Like, what's the opposite of assertive? I guess it's passive.
Passive.
Yeah. But it's not passive aggressive. You're just passive.
Yeah. And I get it. Maybe it's like in that genre.
Well, Eric, but you have low T,
Okay.
low testosterone. So I saw your
I'm
blood
having a
work.
moment.
No,
Yeah,
That's a clear sign of low T.
yeah.
That and your little baby beard you're trying to grow. But don't
Oh,
worry. But no,
jeez.
I'm just messing. Your beard looks good. I like it. You do
Yeah.
need to let it go out a little bit farther. And full disclosure, I have no idea if Eric has low T. The symptoms are all there. But
Jeez.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, yeah.
You're very masculine.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. But back to what you were saying.
It depends on the person that you're engaging with as well.
Well, like what?
I don't feel like I have that with someone like yourself.
Oh, yeah. You could tell me
because
to
I constantly
eat shit and go
Yeah.
away.
Like,
Like, oh,
dude,
you're
you-
hungry for lunch? There's plenty of lunch out in the yard.
right.
Yeah. You could
Yeah.
tell me that.
Go grab a
and I'd
snack.
laugh and I'd go and
Yeah.
see if I could take it to the next level.
Yeah. It's like when two people have a podcast together,
That's right. Here we
Wow.
are. Yeah.
it doesn't always work if
No, it does
they
not.
can't feed off of one another and be able to interrupt and interject and change topics and go, it's like there's a lot to it.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean that that's bad, that they don't have some sort of relationship that they can do somewhere else. It doesn't work in that conversational
It's
style.
called chemistry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the word.
We have it.
See, there it is.
There it
You
is.
Summarize exactly what I was saying in my stream of consciousness going on. I would have kept going too.
I
think.
know. But I
we
stopped
wouldn't have
you.
landed that plane. No.
No. Yeah. You just
No.
like to beat around the bush.
Yeah.
I'm
Passive
like,
aggressive.
I'm going straight there. I'm going to shake that bush and I'm going to see what comes out of it.
Yeah. I like that.
And then I'm going to name it. Yeah, that's a terrible analogy. Is
Name
that
it.
analogy? The right?
Yeah.
That's so stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I do think that there's plenty of negatives about me. But the positive is, you're not going to hurt my feelings by it would take a lot for you to hurt my feelings.
Hmm.
But I also, just over time, I've just realized that the vast majority of personal attacks, not that I get a lot, at least not to my face,
Mhm.
but the vast majority of personal attacks are about that person. If I think about things that drive me nuts about another person, I immediately realize like these are just qualities I find in myself or that I hate about myself, even if they're just latent, they're just things that aren't at the forefront. I'm just like, oh, that drives me crazy.
Yeah.
It drives me crazy when my wife is not organized or on top of things because my natural tendency is to not be organized and on top of things. I've had to train myself to do it over years because it's my problem.
Yep.
So my frustration or annoyance with her is, and same with the kids.
It's a you thing. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, it's all about me. It
Yeah.
is. And that's what it is for everybody.
That's good though. That's a really good awareness to have that.
Well, you have to have it.
Did you always have it like that?
No. I have to
Okay.
work on that.
Okay. Same.
Yeah, I could tell you where it happened. It hit me when we first moved to Raleigh. This is back in like 2006. And we were there with some friends. And one night, me and another buddy of mine, he was kind of obnoxious like me. We got lectured by two friends of ours that were like families. They were like our family. None of us had kids. We'd all gone to school together. But they decided to make it known to us that, because we'd have a lot of fun together, like we'd be obnoxious and whatnot. But they decided to let us know like how we hurt their feelings, or I can't even remember specifically what it was. None of it was ever intentional because there was never like this intention to hurt or belittle anybody. But this was from 9 months previous.
Mm.
So two things kind of came out of this for me. Number one is like, oh man, I'm sorry that you feel that way. And, in the past, I would have just carried that around feeling bad and feeling I needed to walk on eggshells. But this is where everything kind of broke for me. Is the next thing I realized after having that feeling of, hey, look, I'm sorry, that's not my intention. The next realization I had was, wow, you've been lying to me for 9 months.
Mm.
And that was the big trigger. I wasn't mad at her for that. I just realized that, look, I'm not going to feel bad if I really started to double down on intention. If I hurt somebody's feelings, I want to know about it.
Yeah.
If I upset somebody or do something that causes harm, I want to know about it. But I want to know about it soon so that we can address it. This person had been carrying it for like 9 months. And again, on the flip side of that is that because I have such a big personality, it can be a little intimidating to try and come to me with that because they're thinking about it through the lens of how would they feel if somebody came right to them and said, hey, look, this bothered me, because that's seen as confrontational. That's seen as negative. Whereas I would see that as, hey, respectful. And my respect for that person would skyrocket. Like, I really appreciate you coming to me with that.
Yeah.
Just know my intention was never that. And I will be aware of that next time.
Yeah.
That's what I want. To me, in my mind, is that's basic human respect. But we have a hard time doing that. But I also have a lot of grace because I can be a hard person to deal with, I suppose. But at the same time, I just try to evaluate people as people and be like, hey, you know what? Folks that are like me, we can talk to each other a certain way that I can't talk to more passive and non-assertive people like you. You know,
so the question everyone's, I'm just going to bypass that last part. But
go ahead. Yeah.
So the question everyone's got in their mind right now, are you still friends with this person?
Oh, I mean, we're cordial.
Okay.
But no.
Are they listening to this podcast?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
You never know.
Sure. No, I mean, she's a sweetheart. She really was. I mean, like, so she was somebody I didn't want.
I know it was more than that, but it was just,
Yeah. Well, I mean, she was an awesome friend. Yeah. So to kind of have all that stuff and, have all that come out. And it wasn't like specific things. It was just more of an overall, you just suck, Jared.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying I didn't suck.
Yeah. Well, people are worried, like, because you said if someone's got a strong personality, or, that you might get defensive if I come to you with this. And then I'm worried about what that means. But it is. There's like, I've seen it with my son to where he actually wants to be told if he did something. A friend of his said, like, you did this the other day. And he's like, oh, I can't believe I did. I'm so sorry.
Right.
But it happened within a 24-hour, 48-hour period.
That's good.
And it was like taken care of. And like, he gets to learn from it. I'll never do that again. I will never try to do, and that's...
Or he's aware of something he didn't intend had a certain effect on
which is something
somebody.
You had talked about before. And I'm always hitting on that awareness piece of it. Mm-hmm. Like, to become aware of something, the way you are, the way you think about things, or the way you respond to things, like, to have that awareness is enormous. And it's like, it doesn't fix it necessarily, but you're aware of it and you can start working on it. Right.
Or if you do something again, at least for me, if I'm aware of something and then I do it again later on down the road, the first thought that comes to my mind is, oh, wait, look what I just did.
Oh.
And then it's on me. I'll know it super quick. I'm like, what? That was a stupid thing to do.
Why did I say that?
Right.
Yeah. Like when you make fun of me, like that wasn't nice and you shouldn't do that.
Yeah. But I did it because I'm a compassionately aggressive communicator.
Right.
And I'm trying to connect with you at a deep level and turn you into a real man to grow a beard and shave your head.
Wow.
Like me. Yeah. But that right there just shows my own insecurity.
Absolutely.
Do you see how I did that?
I did.
Yeah. Self-awareness, self-deprecation, but also self-elevation, all in one statement.
Wow.
Yeah. Look out for me. Watch out, Tony Robbins.
Profound.
Watch out. Here I come.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was good.
That was good.
Man, see, this is why we should do this more and more. This feeds my soul.
Yeah, that's what you were saying. Like,
this is a very selfish endeavor for me.
Conversations that you have with people can feed your soul.
Big time.
Whatever that means. But yes, I get it. I know what you mean.
Soul. Let's talk about that.
So you get a podcast.
Yeah.
So like there's these other benefits because like we've talked about this in podcasts, like the ROI. If I spend my time doing
that's the name of the podcast.
What's that?
Friends with Benefits. Done.
So the idea there is we have the podcast. This is unscripted. It's a series inside of Entrepreneur Perspectives, right?
For now.
So we're thinking about spinning it off and turning it into something else. And we've come up with different names and we're thinking through it. And Friends with Benefits.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's one of those, like, people would click on that thinking it's one thing.
But the only question
then
is,
they get us.
How many of those exist? There's a movie called Friends with Benefits.
Yeah.
With Mila Kunis and...
Exactly.
No, he's good.
Yeah, exactly. He is good.
Yeah.
I don't
Singer,
remember. Who cares? No, it's not good.
Justin Timberlake.
He is good.
Yeah.
He's good. He's good.
Yeah.
That guy's got talent.
It's a good movie.
Yeah.
You should watch that. I don't know what's on right now. Netflix.
We'll get it back around to that.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
as you
So
were
anyway,
saying, though, continue
I don't know
on
what else.
before I rudely interrupted.
Yeah, you did.
For you were saying one of the benefits of this, because we're talking about feeding souls.
Yeah, so like if you're going to have a podcast, so often it's like, well, what return are we getting off of this podcast?
Yeah.
There's so many ancillary benefits.
Smiles.
So food for the soul,
Mm-hmm.
smiles, right? Learning,
Yeah.
thinking, better talker, better listener, better communicator. That just sums up what I just said. But right?
Yeah.
So all those things, and you don't know what, as I said, unknown, but you don't know what could come from that.
Well, I mean, for sure. Over the years of doing podcasts, various podcasts with different people, I think in our first episode, we talked about this. What were the criteria for me to have a guest or to
You
to
have
do
to
a
be
podcast?
interested in them. You
Right.
want to talk to them.
That's what it comes down to.
Yeah. So that means you want to talk to me. So like you can make as much fun of me as you want.
Yeah.
But deep down, I want to talk
I
to
want
Eric.
to be here.
Yeah, yeah.
Nobody's forced me to
Yeah,
be
yeah.
here.
I mean, you drove here.
I did.
Did you ride your bike?
No. Too hot for that.
Oh, it's hot as can be out there.
It is, yeah. Although I have been riding my bike again.
Mm.
It's been really good. Been training
good, really
for
good.
no races because there's no races on the calendar. They're still using the COVID excuse. I wonder how long they're going to pull this out. All the supply chain stuff, or you call customer service,
Oh, yeah.
or you're going through a Starbucks line, but there's nobody actually in Starbucks
Oh,
because
man.
they all just quit 5 minutes before you're going
My
through
wife
the
was
line.
just telling me she was at a Starbucks in South
Service
Park.
is garbage.
Service is terrible. She said, like, what do you call it? The coffee shop was disgusting. Like
Oh,
stuff
yeah. Nobody cleans
everywhere.
anything.
It
Yeah.
was gross.
It is.
And this is like a newer Starbucks.
Yeah. They don't give a shit.
We went out to dinner. We had to go pick up our daughter. So we were like, let's stop and grab dinner on the way. So
Yeah.
we walk in. I've never seen this. And it's like a nice Thai restaurant.
Yeah.
We walk in, and all of a sudden, what is today? Today's Thursday. So it's a Wednesday night.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing big happening. People are even still in school, I think. And we walk in, and they couldn't seat us. They came out like flabbergasted that there's people there. Like, we have 2 servers.
Uh-huh.
We don't have enough cooks. We don't know if we're going to be able to seat you. People are like, what are you talking
Was
about?
the place packed?
I mean, now outside, there was a bunch of people, and like, it was normally like, hey, we'll sit you. I mean, this is like 6:30 on a Wednesday. Like, it was weird. People were like super confused. There's no people to work. So like, I've heard lifeguards like across the country, like 50% of all public pools have not opened yet because they normally open on Memorial Day
Right,
weekend. They did not open because they don't have lifeguards to serve those pools. Just like the restaurants are just struggling with their service. And I'm sitting out there afterwards. Right next to them is a Chipotle. We've covered Chipotle a lot. But anyway, you can walk into Chipotle, order your food, you pay for it, you sit down, you eat. When you're done, you throw it away and you leave.
Mm-hmm.
Why are restaurants so like, have to have this? We have to have a server. Because let's be honest, most of the time, the servers right now don't know what they're doing.
No.
And that's because they're not trained. They don't have experience doing it. They're just being hired. Hey, you want a job? You can work here.
Yeah.
Why does it have to have that same experience? Like, why aren't they willing to change the way the restaurant operates? I get it. It's a different experience. But the other experience is you can't eat there anyway. So people are walking out of that restaurant without eating, having to figure out where to go. And I guarantee you the next time they want to go out, they're not looking to go back there.
Right.
We ended up getting it to go, and we sat outside, which was nice because we didn't have a waiter bothering us
Uh-huh.
during our meal. We enjoyed it. It was a little hot, but it was fine. It's like, why aren't they thinking differently about it? Like, Chick-fil-A completely changed their process. I mean, they
Chick-fil-A
became
crushed
a
it, man.
machine.
Yeah.
And I think they might be struggling right now. I've heard stories, but I'm not going to prognosticate
It's
or what's
nothing
gonna-
compared to the struggles of other restaurants.
But they turned the entire inside
Yeah.
into like a distribution, and like you roll up there's two
Dude,
lines going around.
they
It's
got-
crazy.
Oh, man, they're tracking everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were on it.
So like, why don't more restaurants do it? I don't know how we got on restaurants and service.
Well,
and all
we're
this
talking
kind of stuff.
about-
like podcasting, like
Yeah,
whatever.
you're talking about, you asked me if I rode my bike here. I said I started riding my bike,
Yeah,
started
yeah,
training, but even there's no races because there's nothing on the calendar.
It didn't
Probably
matter
season.
what we talked about. I was just saying, I don't
We
know how
just
we
got
got there.
that.
Yeah,
I've got the amazing ability to backtrack and go, here's
I
where we
like that.
started, Eric.
Yeah.
Now I can rabbit trail.
Mhm. But you came here to podcast, to have a
I
conversation
I
with.
did.
And that's,
And you're welcome.
there's something to that.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So podcasting is the answer.
I need more friends. So I'm
Yeah.
kind of using this podcast to find more friends. I'm advertising my friendship,
Yeah.
that I'm in the market for friends.
Yeah. But it looks serious too. If I wish you could see, that's why we did this on video. 'Cause
Yeah.
People would have been like, wow.
Wow, that guy
Yeah, it really does.
seriously needs
No,
friends.
like, you like, this is interesting. So online dating,
Uh-huh.
at first you heard about it, people were like, that's weird. Like, you met your wife on online. Now it's like the normal thing to do.
Which, by the way, I did not meet my wife in online dating.
I get it.
I just
Neither
want to
did
make
I.
sure. Yeah.
Right. So that's just
Because we're
I'm just
old.
saying, right. But people are making friends on the internet now
That's
because
true.
they have common interests. You get on Twitter or you play a game or whatever.
Nobody makes friends on Twitter. Man. Come on.
Okay.
Jeez, what's wrong with you? Go
Which
ahead.
one? LinkedIn.
Yeah. LinkedIn.
Oh, really?
Yeah, no. I've
No.
got some friends on LinkedIn.
Really?
Yeah. Friends are not followers.
No, but did that turn into a conversation quick, or was that a lot of back and forth through
They were
messaging?
friends first.
That's
they were
different.
friends,
No,
yeah.
so you just ruined it.
Yeah.
No, they had common interests. Like, okay, Cleveland Browns fan,
Yeah.
military family.
Yeah.
So you add a couple more beards, whatever.
Yep.
Yep.
Cycling.
Next thing you know, you guys are grabbing a soda together.
Soda. Hey, man, want to go get a pop? Oh,
yeah, Ohio.
This is
Your
Charlotte,
pops.
man.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm from Buffalo.
Everything is a Coke.
Everything's a pop.
Everything's a Coke down
Everything's
here.
a pop.
I'm not
in
from
Western
here.
New York and Ohio.
Yeah.
And then soda is
Yep.
a lot of other places. And then a lot of places is Coke.
Yeah.
So it's Coke
I
here.
usually say like cool
Sweet
carbonated
tea?
beverage. Ugh.
You don't like that?
Yeah, rarely. I mean, man.
That'll put you to bed in like 30 minutes.
No, I tell you what, if we're on the road sometimes, because I don't like to drink sugary drinks anyway.
Yeah.
But, if I need some caffeine,
What do you got now?
Give me half.
What are you in the Zach?
That's just water.
Is it Zach or is that? Yeah, Zach.
Yeah, it's a knockoff. It's a Target's
Oh,
brand.
I was going to say, like, because we could call up Zach and they could sponsor our podcast. How about we call up these guys and they sponsor our podcast? That would be a good one.
Yeti?
Yeah.
This is Zach is like a knockoff of Yeti.
Yeah, I can
This
tell.
is the cheap version of
I
it.
can
That's
tell.
all it is.
What are the kind of nutrients do they spit out? Like, that's what makes this.
That's a great question.
Look at that. See, you can't see the video right now, but you see that. Like, that's
I do
nice, right?
EK.
Yeah.
Oh, for Eric Kasimov.
Oh, wow.
Wow, that's
yeah,
great.
you put that together.
Those are really generic letters, though. If they did it like in the Cas source font, all that, then it would be cool.
My wife got this as a gift from me.
Yeah.
I actually
just
like
kidding.
it, yeah.
What I was trying to say was, somebody's texting me.
Wow.
That's really important.
Well, that's the whole thing with podcasting, though. There's very few situations where you can get someone dialed in. They have to be ready to talk and take on conversations and typically not have their phone with them. That's powerful right there.
Yeah. Well, I'm ready to converse at any time of the day. Wake me up out of a dead sleep.
Yeah.
What do you want to talk about?
And did you see the new Top Gun movie?
No. Dude, but I did watch the old Top Gun movie this past weekend.
Yeah.
My brother-in-law happened to be sitting there on the couch at night. This is after me and
This
my
is your first
sister-in-law.
time seeing that movie?
Yeah, it was actually my first time seeing the full movie unedited because as a kid, we just watch them on TV and it was the edited for television version.
You were like, why didn't you see it in the theater? You're a little
Oh, man,
young.
no. Listen, dude. I mean, man, my mother would not let me listen
Really?
to. Yeah.
Oh,
So, I'm a
let's
musician.
Stay here for a while.
Oh, we could. You were
Yeah.
talking about my childhood?
Yeah. So Top Gun was like PG. I think the new one's PG-13. I don't know what it was back then.
Let's talk about the old one.
Yeah. It was on the TV in my house the other day. My son was, I was like, well, if you're going to show it to me, put it on TV. I'm not going to, I can't. Cause it's like, what about this? I've like seen the movie a zillion times.
Yeah.
It's a good one. The music kicks in.
That's one thing I noticed about the old Top Gun is that soundtrack is going nonstop.
It's the whole movie.
The Take My Breath
Smart.
Away and
No, it's that beat. No, it's that
Yeah.
early beat.
That's
And
right.
I should I'll pull it up.
It was just a lot of drama, lots of sexual tension. There's always
Can we
jokes
play
about
that while we're talking right now? Or is that like,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
probably a problem? Tom Cruise's people are going to reach out and be like, you need to take that down. Or we're
I
gonna
would be
take-
honored if
we're-
they did, because I was like,
they
look
were
who's
paying
listening.
attention.
Look who's
Mhm.
listening. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Church of
Comment.
Scientology. This podcast is sponsored by the Church of Scientology.
Yeah. Yeah. Fair use. That's the word.
Yeah.
Like lyrics, music. That's not fair use. Like,
No.
we can say it. We can't start quoting it.
What if
Oh,
I
in a
started singing it?
conversation you can. But I hear people do it all the time.
I hear
It's
people using
like music of
copyrighted
like,
music opening up their podcast. And these are like, I'm thinking, how much did they pay?
no, they didn't. They don't have a license for that. They would have to disclose that. And
Yeah.
typically you'd be spending a lot of money if you want to use
Which
like
is crazy. Yeah.
Kendrick Lamar's new album. Yeah, that would be tough.
Yeah.
So Top Gun, you
Top Gun.
did not get to see it.
Yeah. But I did get to see it this weekend.
The old one.
The old one. It's classic.
Yeah.
I'm not necessarily saying it's good. It was super cheesy.
Well, yeah, you have to accept certain things. It's
I
like
took it in a whole new light. It's like,
you don't watch Step Brothers and being like, I wanted to be like inspired,
right. Yeah.
Like, you might be inspired by comedy, but not
yeah.
to
No,
like
that's exactly right.
stay
Well,
in your parents' house.
it felt like, I may be overstating this. Maybe I was just too tired. Like if you watch a David Lynch film, it has a feel.
You got to give me more than that.
Okay. Did you ever watch Twin Peaks?
Okay, I know of Twin Peaks. I don't
If you
think I
know
watched
Twin
it.
Peaks. But if
Yeah,
you watch Twin Peaks, it had a very specific, there's an atmosphere to it.
sure.
There's a presence to it.
Okay.
Top Gun, what I noticed is it felt like it's like their tapestry. And if I saw another movie by that person who I don't know who made this, and I'm probably completely wrong about this.
Jerry Bruckheimer, those people.
Sure, yeah. Would be like,
Yeah.
oh, Michael Bay, right? You see a Michael Bay movie, and then you see another one. If you don't know it's Michael Bay, you could immediately go, that's a Michael Bay movie.
Yeah.
because it's overdoing it on the action so much. And it's just all this stuff. And it's really visually stimulating.
Yeah.
But Top Gun seemed to have this artistic, over dramatic kind of.
Tony Scott. Sorry. We should have known that.
Who's Tony Scott?
He's big. What else did Tony Scott do?
Yeah, let's see if this theory is right. Let's see if his movies
a lot
have
of those things. Like
have
Jerry
a certain
Bruckheimer and
feel.
who did Michael Bay and all those guys.
Yeah, like they have a signature on their movies. This movie, Top Gun, watching the old Top Gun.
So he
film.
didn't. So he's since passed, it looks like.
What else do you do?
We're going to get there. But you got to keep talking because you got to keep people engaged.
Yeah,
So,
definitely.
Are you going to see the new movie?
Yeah, maybe if it's on.
There's so many movies he's done. My gosh. Like, I'm trying to find some.
Give me
like,
the movie he did before Top Gun and the one right after.
back in the 80s.
80s,
In the
yeah.
80s. Yeah. 30 credits for, wow, this man's accomplished. Kenny Long is, that's the music video. Beverly Hills Cop 2.
Mm-hmm.
That's a
That
good
was one before.
It was after it. Days of Thunder.
Oh, that has very
Good.
much a.
Very much. It's the same movie.
Yeah, it is. Just with cars, not
with
jets.
cars. Yeah. But it's going on Crimson Tide.
Yeah.
Tom Clancy, maybe?
Yeah.
Enemy of the State.
Dang.
Will Smith.
Well, look at that. There we
The
go.
Fan. Did you ever see The Fan? Wesley Snipes and Robert De Niro. Wesley Snipes was a baseball player, and Robert De Niro was a crazy fan who wanted to like hunt down. I read the book. It's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is good.
Man on Fire. That's another.
That sounds really familiar.
Yep.
Okay. So Tony Scott.
Yeah. So he's got
He put a
all
lot
that
of stuff out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you feel like, Denzel,
Yeah.
Man on Fire. That's it.
Yeah.
Good movie.
Denzel is one of the greatest.
Yeah. He was there consoling Will Smith during that moment that he had.
I thought he pulled Will Smith aside and
He
said,
did.
hey, man,
He was-
you don't do that.
I don't know what he said.
And then he smacked him.
That would have been some.
Did anybody capture that on film? Denzel
there's
smacking Will
pictures.
Smith?
I don't know about that part.
I'd like to see that one.
Yeah.
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 This is good.
So you are going to see the new movie?
I don't know, man.
Go see it today.
I
Would
honestly-
you go to a theater or do you just wait for
No,
it?
I would never pay money to go see the new Top Gun. Why would I do that? Come on, Eric.
Who would just like when it comes out?
You know how I feel about Tom Cruise.
Okay, so you're not going to go to a theater. Would you go to a theater to see the movie that you really
bored
like?
right now?
Would you go to a theater or no?
To see a movie?
Any movie, like
Sure.
a favorite movie? Well, no, some people are like, I'm not going.
Why? Because of COVID?
No, because it's just people talking and throwing food.
Monkeypox is because of, it's because
Yeah,
of
yeah, I was gonna-
monkeypox.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Have we gotten this far and not talked about
I
monkeys?
almost brought it up at one point, but I kind of.
But you didn't want me to go on one of my like
Yeah, I
rants.
blacked out for a second.
I got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that one, we're going to be okay with that?
Yes, of course we are. It's monkeypox. Yeah. I mean, just if you see somebody with boils,
Oh, God. I don't want to talk about
don't go touch them. That'll be difficult.
that. I don't want to talk about that.
That'll
Yeah.
be difficult for me since one of my love languages is touch. Sorry. Oh, yeah.
That would suck. Maybe we lucked out. COVID was like a cold. You know, it didn't have. I don't.
We
Want
did
I
luck
don't
out.
want to go down that path because that's when
Yeah,
you're
man,
like,
it's
people
so
are getting
depressing.
People fast forward through that stuff.
Yeah, but then we just keep dropping it.
Yeah.
here, just randomly.
Yeah,
I mean, this is unscripted. Obviously, if you've gotten this far.
yeah.
Yeah. So what else, man?
I hurt my finger this weekend. I had to go to urgent care. That's just a topic. It's interesting because a lot of the urgent care facilities, hospitals,
Yeah.
backed up. Then there's all these like franchise urgent cares everywhere, like every corner, like the whole medical system just completely changing.
Yeah.
Like, what's your future outlook on that?
Which part? That's a complex
It
machine.
is very complex. It's changed though. So you go
Well-
in there, they take you, you're in, you're out, everything's good.
I think here's one of the big reasons why you see more people in urgent care is that for such a long time, back when I was in the health insurance as a broker doing ancillary and health benefits and all that, one of the biggest problems that you ran into was people going into the emergency room for non-emergencies. And the cost of that, again, not because the actual cost, but the cost that the hospital would like, oh, well, this is how much it costs. You know, you get to pay extra for emergency room. That just became, it was just massive. So I know with most insurance plans, at least in the state of North Carolina, I know with ours that we have, it's $600 to go to the emergency room, no matter what. Doesn't go to your deductible.
Wow.
It's not your copay. It's just, or maybe they call it your copay, but it's a $600. Hey, before anything, here, $600. So it's a big incentive to go to urgent care unless you have a legit emergency.
Yeah.
So I would think, now again, I'm just saying that as a guess. I have not looked at actual data or studies on that, but urgent care is being overflowing. I think that's one contributing factor to it. The other could also be that it's allergy season and you still have people who are terrified of having COVID.
Right.
There's a lot of confusion around that too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. But there's like franchises. Like you can go start.
no.
Yeah.
Should we start one?
So there's hospitals, like Novant has their own urgent care facilities.
Yep.
But that's the first place most people go because
Yeah.
that's the network, that's the name.
Yeah.
Yet down the street is another place, AFC, I think is what it was called. There's all of them. I don't know. They're just,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
you should look into that.
Yeah. CVS, Minute Clinic, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Do you want to know about the future of healthcare?
That's a tough one.
Yeah. But I mean, we really start getting into the question of cost, delivery. Then, the question of is healthcare a human right? Should there be insurance? All that other kind of stuff.
Yeah. It's gotten expensive. Health insurance. Wow.
The last 20 years, for sure, it just continues to go up. It's
Yeah.
probably the largest line item for most businesses if they have employees.
Yeah.
It's massive.
Yeah. A lot of these companies out there are trying to tackle that problem, but they're running into their own issues, like a Zenefits, for example.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're ever in the
I
business
remember
at that point.
Well, you and I first met
They
when that
got
was
in a lot of
happening.
trouble.
And
Yeah,
we talked
yeah.
about that. Yeah, that crashed and burned.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. And that's an industry that is they've circled the wagons because they know everybody's got them in their targets. At least people don't like insurance companies. Hospitals are a whole other issue. But that's always a question that comes up. Cost of insurance, cost of care. And it varies so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you go to Obamacare, right? From what I've heard is if you're paying full price, you're paying for 3 families or
Easily.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. But they've got tons of subsidies that are out there,
right.
right? Which, definitely helps to curb the cost.
Right. It just depends on where you fall in that.
Yeah, for sure.
Because it's really difficult for a small business to go out and get health insurance. There's
Yep.
just not a lot of options.
Yeah, man, it's nuts. That's a depressing subject.
Yeah.
Yeah, that just took all the excitement out because I was like, oh, yeah, I've got lots of thoughts on healthcare and the future of healthcare. Oh, man, I'm in a good mood.
Yeah.
I don't want to go into bad mood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Deshaun Watson had a 23rd person come out and
Man,
say,
what's up?
that's not good.
Yeah, the thing that's, because I keep tracking on all this stuff, I don't know, man. I mean, this really seems like it's being handled mostly in the court of public opinion. I don't know if the accusations are true. I knew that 2 grand juries acquitted.
Yeah.
They're like, there's not enough here.
Yeah.
There's nothing here.
And that's what they're saying. They're not saying we can't try this, right? Like,
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That the accusations and the evidence just aren't there.
Yeah.
Deshaun's also holding tight, like, I'm not going to settle because it says that I did something wrong
Right.
and I didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah.
So he's holding tight to his story. A 23rd woman is now added to this list.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, there's suspicion on all sides. Like the obvious suspicion from Deshaun is like, wow, that's a lot of accusations. The other side of it is, I don't know. I know there's better documentation. Now, I probably shouldn't be talking about this, but one of the questions I have or things that I've heard through folks that are following this is that the lawyer for these women, he's gone out and been recruiting and asking around like, hey, well, trying to get more and more people to
Well, you
join
bring
this
a
suit.
23rd in, that's a news story.
Exactly. It's like, hey, the more we can stack this up, I mean, that's a big payday for him, for them as well.
Sure.
I don't say that in any way to say that these women are lying. The fact is we don't know. And we don't know what all's going on. It's a mess. The thing that kind of discourages me a lot is that, people are talking like, well, the NFL is going to have to suspend him for X amount of games. I think, well, what if he's completely innocent? They still have to suspend him because they don't want to look bad in the court of public opinion. It's like, what? This is mob rule, right?
Yeah.
At the same time, I also know there's a history of putting these things under the rug when women or, if there's
Right.
been legit assaults. And like I said, they sweep it under the rug and nothing happens. And that behavior continues. So that's a problem too. So there's no solution
Yeah.
in my mind. It's just, I look at this and say, we've gotten too accustomed to this idea that mob rule, well, if the court of public opinion or Twitter blows up, then CEOs are coming out and apologizing for shit that they shouldn't apologize for because they're like, well, we're so sorry that 3 people in our 300,000 person company decided to protest outside because they don't like Dave Chappelle. Right. And then throw a whole fit and put out a whole statement and then put a sticker up on their bio. It's just like,
Yeah.
come on, guys.
Yeah. But the CEO said, if you don't want to be a part of this, said, this is not the place to be.
Yeah. You know why? Because that kind of bullshit hits the bottom line. If we are honest about the incentive structure in this country, at least,
Yeah.
is that you can have your social activism all day long,
Yep.
but as soon as it hits the bottom line, company profits, it's out.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
But our companies, the idea isn't for them to stand up for, to a degree of like for what they believe in and all those things. Sure. They're creating a product or a service to
Correct.
sell to somebody, a business, a consumer, all that other side. Now it's up to the employee to make the decision to say, I don't like my boss. I
For
don't
sure.
like the content that we're producing at Netflix. So
Yeah.
you have every right to not work there.
Yeah.
That's kind of right.
Yeah.
Elon Musk comes out yesterday and the email comes out to say he wants everyone back in the office.
Yeah.
And he says, you either come back to the office or you depart.
Yeah.
And that's the word he used. Okay,
Yeah.
you depart. He's basically saying, come in or you're out.
Yep.
But he's the CEO. So you can get mad about it. You can do whatever you want. And those people can be mad about it, or they could stay there, or they can go get a job somewhere else. They're more than welcome to go
For sure.
do that.
Here's the thing that's frustrating is that with all of this, and I'll call it temper tantrums, because that's been the vast majority of what's gotten attention. Temper tantrums of people like, I don't like what you said. I don't feel safe. And then we're going to throw a temper tantrum or we're going to protest. But it's like, to me, you're dealing with like children.
Yeah.
What gets frustrating is that real issues, right?
Yeah.
Real issues are being hijacked by temper tantrums. And so real issues, guess what? They get swept up into the narrative of the temper tantrum and they never get addressed. You know who that benefits? Perpetrators. Benefits the perpetrators of some injustice that's actually taking place, because it's easy to say, well, they're just being woke. Well, they're just doing X, Y, and Z. But you think about real activism, that takes time, energy, focus, dedication, and a lot of work that nobody ever sees. And then real change happens. Well, I think, everybody's offended by everything, and this person is a racist or a sexist or they're a transphobe or whatever it might be. You know who suffers the most in all of that chaos? Are the actual people they, claim to be standing up for. Because the reality is they don't give a shit. They just want attention. Activists on all of these things, whether it's conservatives or liberals, they don't give a shit. They just want 5 minutes of fame. Well, what about the people who've been down in the trenches for years actually working to make changes, right? You see this with civil rights. You see this with equal pay. You see this with all kinds of things that never make headlines because they're not sexy. There's no scandal. There's no blood. It's just grinding through and getting policy passed to change the incentive structure or change the rules and the regulations.
Yeah.
But you're not going to see that on Twitter.
Yeah.
So the frustrating thing is that real meaningful change can often get swept up in this frenzy of offense.
Yeah. Well, because now anyone can get out there, like you said, your 5 minutes of fame.
Yeah.
Anyone can have it.
Anyone. I can go out right now and start working my ass off to create general outrage on behalf of left-handed people living in a right-handed world. And I guarantee you, I would have plenty of people jumping up on that.
Yeah.
And how stupid would that be?
Yeah.
Pretty stupid.
My son would appreciate you.
My man.
Yeah. Yeah.
My youngest son too. Maybe
Yeah.
that's why me and my youngest son did not get COVID a second time, is because
Ooh.
left-handed.
Yeah. Can't deny it, right? I mean, you can't.
That's just anecdotal. I mean, there's no science to back that up.
That's okay.
Yeah, but anyway, so that's my little rant here. I mean, as I talked about, people like to say, well, the future, and they focus on technology. To me, it's no, man. The future is understanding human development. It's understanding human dynamics. And what I look at in this just toxic media environment that we've got.
It's tough because it's going
It
to
is.
take the leadership to make the decision to say, are you going to succumb to this group of 3, 5, 20 employees
Yeah.
to say, you need to stand up for this, you need to do this,
Yeah,
where it's like, this is what we do.
right.
And not to say that they're not contributing to society and their community and all that's great, but how far do they want to take it? Because
Yeah.
their job is to deliver that product or their service.
If you want to be taken serious, don't act like a toddler,
Yeah.
right? Like you want meaningful change, go get in the trenches with people that have been doing it for years, right? I mean, that's the way that I think about that, is that, yes, companies are there to create a product or a service based on market need and demand.
Mhm.
The call or the demand by employees that companies take a political position or make some ideological statement is really just ridiculous. And a lot of this comes out of the safetyism of,
Mhm. And they're going to do it in certain ways, right? Like, I don't know what an example would be, but accessibility, right? If
For
you're
sure.
building a hotel, like you want to make sure that you have accessibility to it. So that's important. So you're building those things inside of
Definitely.
your products and services as it is.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you think about your user base and, the demographics of your user base.
Right. Because it's not saying like you don't discriminate when you hire.
Right.
Like, so you should be practicing these things. Now, if they're not, well, there's things in place to prevent those people from continuing or from paint, or, they have to do something, right?
Absolutely, right?
And they should be called out So we're not saying like build your product and services and screw everybody. No. Like
no.
I think it's just important
not.
to make that clarifications because some people can think, well, that's just siding with like just free for all. No, it's not at all what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
man. I mean, because again, where there's actual like legit discrimination, real racism, real transphobia that translates into marginalization, it makes it so easy to just be like, yeah, whatever, right? It's like you're just another screaming person on Twitter or Instagram trying to get attention.
Yeah.
But then real issues don't actually get resolved.
Correct. Yeah.
They don't.
Yeah. They're ruining it for everybody else.
Well, yeah, because again, the goal is never a change in policy or procedure. The goal is, you need to apologize. The goal is to get attention and get you to respond in a way that they want you to respond. But that's never going to be good enough, right? I mean, this is just...
Oh, yeah. Well, there's advice out there for a lot of CEOs to not say anything, to not apologize, because what inevitably happens is there's another story that comes out within a day or two that takes that headline.
Yeah.
So your headline's gone, like whatever. Like they move on. They move past it.
And I don't know that that's necessarily a good position. I mean, maybe. Well, if there's like a legit, in this situation we're talking about, yes, I think that is. If it's just people screaming over nothing,
right,
fine. But if there's a legit scandal, like,
but they're standing up to it, right? So you have two high-powered CEOs from Netflix and Tesla saying, this is the way it is.
Yeah, well, they needed somebody to actually stand up to it, which is Elon Musk.
Right.
Now everybody else is like, well, this is hurting our bottom line, so maybe we should not be such cowards and actually say something.
Yeah.
I mean, we have a crisis of cowardice. Yeah.
Is it?
I was about to say cowardship, and I was like, that's not a word. Cowardice.
It's not ness.
It's not ness. There's no ness.
Why not?
Cowardness?
I don't know.
There's a lot of cowardness here. That's not a word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's Wordle. It's not.
Oh, don't Wordle it. Yeah, but I think it's really simple, right? People want to understand, it's like, oh, why are these folks getting so much attention? Why is all this screaming? Well, number one, the media is incentivized to highlight that crap. The other thing is that...
So, I'm sorry to interrupt. The meaning of cowardness is a quality or state of being a coward. The meaning of cowardice is a lack of courage or firmness of purpose.
Yeah, so cowardice.
Yeah.
Right.
But they're both words.
They are.
We both win. Everyone's a winner.
That's right. I like that. See, this is very good. This is where
it's amazing. Like there's 60,000 returns on plus on this, and it just goes on and on. The internet. They thought the internet was a fad.
So they did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were wrong.
They were.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Who is they?
I don't know. There's some people quoted. There was a whole thing yesterday. Or when was it yesterday? It was about crypto, Bitcoin, and all that stuff. And there's a big article that came out I'll look it up real quick. And it basically said, like, just throw it in the trash. This is a total disaster.
No.
So a lot of people sided with that and said, this is the best piece I've ever read on this. And I'll find it in a minute. But
yeah. Well, Warren Buffett came out with a comprehensive maybe. But he said this is why he'd never trust crypto.
Yeah. So they go against it. So people take a side. So they're like, yes, it's the worst thing ever. And then there's other people saying, well, there's people in 1996 or 1998 saying that the internet was a fad. And that will be by 2005, that'll be long gone. Okay. So it doesn't mean people's predictions can be right or wrong. It's definitely going to happen. But now you have these pieces come out. And as soon as someone like makes a good case for it to be a disaster, crypto in that situation, like all of a sudden it's like people just want to hop on that. It's like, yes. And then you have the extreme on the other side. It's like, yes. So it's like, we're so divided.
Yeah.
It's like all of a sudden it can't be anywhere in the middle. It has to be on the edges. It has to be.
I mean, it's the same thing with the stock market. Yeah. Markets and valuations. It's not based on anything real. It's based on a social contract of trust.
Yeah.
The analysts say it's worth this much. The big driver of, for the stock market growth were tech companies that were overvalued. So Amazon, Facebook, all of these way overvalued because they're not based on anything. It's not like, well, we are valuing this based on how much gold they have in reserves, right? Whatever it is.
Right.
They're basing it on public sentiment. It's based on projections, all kinds of unnecessarily complicated algorithms. Yeah. They're based on nothing. But
it could still work, right? Like if that's the market.
As long as people play the game.
Yeah.
So if you have all these people say, oh yeah, well, crypto's crap, then the market for crypto starts to drop. And the other side of it is like, well, now's the time to buy. And you're basically betting on whether it's going to come back or whether it's going to, keep declining. So it's just a bet. It's a game.
Yeah. Currentaffairs.org had this piece on it.
Yeah? What, are you going to read to me now?
No, I'm not going to. Nicholas Weaver. Couldn't think of his name. He's a UC Berkeley scientist, and he's got a lot of feelings on this. And a group of people will side with Nicholas, and other people will go against it. And that's where we are.
Yeah. And this is where we are.
Yeah. It is a podcast, a really good podcast.
We have really crushed it today.
You think so?
Not really.
Yeah, I don't think so.
But you know what? I feel that way after most of our podcasts. Then I go back and I listen to them like a total narcissist. And I'm like, this is really good.
But you know what's interesting? Because I remember, by the way, I don't like when I say that's what's really interesting because that's
because most of it's not interesting. But go ahead.
There's more to that. Oh, that's interesting. Like, do you just mean it or are you just saying it because it's such an obvious thing to say? So I don't think you would say
like
that's
a bridge to.
Ooh, that's interesting. Like you had a lack of words. Maybe you didn't go to English class when you were younger. I don't know. You didn't read enough. But
yeah, no.
Yeah.
I'm a visual learner.
You didn't used to listen to your podcast.
I didn't.
Because I asked you, did you? Because you asked like movie stars. I'm not comparing you to like
George
Clooney. Okay.
No.
So it's like, do you watch your movies? He's like, of course not. Like,
Yeah.
I would never watch that movie.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Adam Driver's the same
I just
way.
did it again.
That is interesting.
Yeah.
I just did it too.
Yeah.
There we are. Look.
This is an interesting podcast.
It's called
And
mirroring.
Yeah. You had a name for it earlier, but you listen to
Friends
these
with
ones.
benefits. Yeah. Go ahead.
You listen to these podcasts.
Yeah. Because you send them to me. They're well produced. I'm like, that's entertaining.
Yeah.
You know, we talked about that because the production quality of these podcasts is better than my shows that I do.
Yeah.
And a lot of folks who have a massive following, I listen to their shows sometimes and thinking, man, if the audio was better,
Yeah.
I could stick with it.
Mhm.
That's a really interesting thing. And I just did it again.
Mhm.
That's a really interesting thing. So I just took what you keep saying,
Mhm.
that's really interesting, or
Mhm.
that's interesting. And I added really, and now I've made it my own.
Yeah. And I'm always searching for like, okay, what could the title of this podcast, this specific episode be? Because they're all uniquely interesting with Jared and Eric.
It could be, oh, there you go.
Yeah. That's pretty lame.
Or it could
Like-
just be, that's interesting, ... or is
Ellipses.
it, question mark. No, that sucks.
That's terrible. Yeah.
That's interesting that you said that. Anyway,
Yeah.
we're probably killing our subscription right now, but this is good.
I think that's the hook.
I think that's it.
I think like the stuff all over the place. You said that's it? We're done? You tapping out?
Yeah, shut up. We're
Okay.
done. No.
Is that what you're saying? No, okay. Okay, we're done with that specific.
It was, but then
moment.
you started on something new, and I don't want to shut that down because, you know, I'm self-aware about my compassionately aggressive communication
Yeah.
style and tendency to dominate other people, and it's not my
Which
intention.
you've been interested in. I'm going to go back to it. Listening to this podcast.
Yes, because the audio quality is so good. The content, on the other hand, is subpar,
Mhm.
but the audio quality is good. I feel like I'm being taken on a journey.
So it's interesting with, my God, it has to be interesting. It's been said so many times that I just have to go with it.
You really do.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. See, now you're hooked into this feedback
It's
loop.
so easy to create content now.
Yeah.
You can write a blog post and publish it within a minute. You can take a podcast and publish it. But so much is not like to take it to that next level.
Mhm.
And not to say it's going to be amazing and have millions of listeners,
It will.
but
Have you read The Secret? All we have to do is just put it out there in the universe,
Oh,
man.
and that's
it's
it.
going to happen.
but taking it to those extra steps
Yeah.
to make the quality better.
Makes a
I
difference.
see it a lot. I see a lot of, you just mentioned it. The podcast gets released. The quality is just not there.
Oh, yeah.
The content's good, but it's unedited. And it
Yeah.
doesn't mean that they all need to be edited because there's a reason to have unfiltered and raw content.
Rarely. But if you're producing
It
something,
depends if it fits in the story. Like there's this one that we're doing and it's a therapist.
Mhm.
Well, when you sit down with a therapist, you don't edit your words. Like you speak how you feel about it. So you could create, I could go either way with it, but I could make an argument to say that should be raw, unedited, unfiltered, and just let it go. So like,
Sure.
so that's an example. But I think so much of like, we take the movie Top Gun, like that movie's been sitting in production for a long time,
as it should have.
partly due to COVID. I get it,
Mhm.
but they spend time with it. And you hear the stories of like Tom Cruise, your favorite,
Oh, yeah.
going back to like, they had to do it the right way.
Yeah.
And you hear stories, we talked about Mr. Beast, like he'll do $1 million production on a video and he'll
Mhm.
scrap the entire thing if it doesn't fit. Where so much now is like, just throw it out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I don't know. I think it works both ways because just ship it, just put it out there.
Yeah. So it always comes back to this. What do you feel most comfortable
Mhm.
having out there that represents you?
Mhm.
And for me, it's high quality production.
Mhm.
But a lot of that's because I have very low self-esteem.
You know, make yourself sound better.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's why I talk like in this kind of voice. And I get really close to the microphone. And then you can hear my mustache, my beard hitting the microphone.
Oh my God.
It's because I
Remind
want
me to
people to
never
know that
use
I have
that mic.
facial hair.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's clean.
Disinfect it. Dollar Shave Club.
We need to end it there.
Dollar Shave Club.
Dollar Beard Club, but I'm no longer a member of the Dollar
Oh,
Beard
that's
Club.
right. That's a different thing. Those are the guys that went viral on YouTube, right?
They were great. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, they are. Yeah.
Oh, you've stepped it up.
Nah, they would send me stuff and I'd have like 6 months worth of stuff. I didn't use it as
too
much. If I had a massive beard all the way down to like my belly button, maybe I would have used the product that they were sending me. But
Yeah.
so I had a surplus. I was like, you know what? I don't need this.
Yeah.
And that was it.
Yeah. We get a TikTok page.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Well, good video.
Yeah, we can.
Yeah. I'm going to send you a good TikTok. I'm going to post it in the show notes. Have you
Such a
seen the
child.
one? I sent it to you actually already.
That was funny. Yes.
About Target.
This podcast
husband-
will never end.
No. You're the one that usually wants to go. So I'm trying to feed you. But,
But didn't you want to record
gonna
another
tap out.
episode?
Oh, wow.
Don't
Episode
go
two.
crushing episode
Yeah.
2 now.
It's kind of good. We're 57 minutes. Plus, we had like a minute or two before we had our little mishap. You know what I figured out real
What's
quick?
that?
I'm on 1, you're on 3. So when you were talking, 1 wasn't lighting up because that's not normal. Normally I
Right.
got it, but we all make mistakes.
Yeah. So, but I have been recording now, right?
I hope so.
I hope so
that
too.
would be not good.
I'd have to quit this whole endeavor.
That would be uninteresting.
I'm so uninterested
Yeah.
right now.
All right, man. We'll get you later.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Peace
Bye.
out.
See ya.
CASDM is our content production company. Why content? It's simple. Content brings people together. I've seen it play out over and over, and I want to help others explore and discover this for themselves. The experience is totally worth it. Learn more at CASDM.com. We focus on podcasts and writing, one piece of content at a time. It all starts with conversations, just like this one.